The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our webinar this morning on required minimum distributions. We're going to have the coach join us here shortly to kind of fill in and tell us a little bit about the opportunities around RMDs and how we can help our clients and how we can meet new clients and gain some prospects. And certainly with the new Retirement Savers Act and some changes around RMDs, a little delay and when we have to take them, potentially going to be put in place. There's going to be a lot more questions about RMDs. It's a great opportunity to meet some folks and talk a little bit about and share some of your expertise about an area that could be very important to them. Beautiful thing about RMDs is there are just a few times like this, like age 59 and a half, currently age 70 and a half for RMDs. It's one of the few times in people's financial career when they actually have to make a decision. Med sups, when they have to make a decision. RMDs, they have to make a decision if they have qualified funds. So those are times that are times of opportunity to meet new clients and to develop expertise and show our expertise to our current clients. So great subject matter for our webinar today. As we do with every webinar, we have it open to type in questions if you have any along the way, and we'll try to get those answered as quickly as we can. There'll be a couple of polls. I don't know how many polls we have today. I'll take a quick peek here shortly. We have a couple of polls at least it will have. If you can answer those as quickly as possible. Again, you're not doing anything other than letting us know you might have some interest or letting us know for sure that you don't have interest by checking yes or no in that poll. No commitments at all associated with those. So my name is Steve Maria, Executive Vice President here at IAMS, and we're going to talk about a couple things that we do here at IAMS to help you grow your business before we get into the RMD heart of the matter. So let's get started on that. I want to get through it all fairly quickly because looking at our group, we have many of you that are regular producers with us already. We have a few new folks, which is great. Thank you for joining us. We'll go through these things fairly quickly. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about for sure this morning is a couple programs we have where you can get a little extra cash to help grow your business. So two of those that we send checks out on a regular basis are Referred Producer Program and Marketing Reimbursement. You can see before you the marketing reimbursement is a pretty simple program. When you send business in, we put money in your marketing reimbursement account. You can use that marketing reimbursement for a whole slew of items. In fact, anything that you can think of that you use to grow your business, we will reimburse. You will share expenses with you there dollar for dollar. Also, RPM program, we have grown our business over the years via your referrals. We thank you for those, and over the last 10 years or so, we've been thanking you with regular checks as well. So you can see how that works fairly simply. When you refer someone to IAMS and they get appointed, we send you out $50. That's great. Maybe go out to lunch or whatever on us with a friend. But the real money comes when they start doing business. And remember, none of this money comes out of their pocket. They're treated like any other agent for all purposes. We take that out of our advertising budget and pay you a little bonus. And that bonus gets paid for as long as they're with us and as long as they're doing business. So nice little program. Hopefully you'll take advantage of both of those to help grow your own business and to get yourself rewarded for doing the things to help IAMS is what we're trying to accomplish here on the growth side as well. A couple things that you need to be aware of for those of you that are new with us. We have a new production bonus program that we have there before you. You can see we reward you at 3 different levels. And you can see what the general rewards are there. We talk a lot about seminars here. We talk about radio. We talk about using tools to help grow your business. So what we try to do with the new producer builders is make all of those things easier for you to do. So we know that you're regularly doing business, and we're hopeful that you will look at IAMS for some of that business. We'll reward you a little bit of a loss leader when you decide to do that with IAMS. We appreciate it very much. And so we're going to reward you for that and help you grow your business. Now, there's some things that you may want to do, obviously, that are not on there. I'm going to tell you right now, we're going to be pretty flexible. So if there's something that you'd like to do and you want us to help you do it with the cash equivalent, we're glad to do any of that. We have a bias towards things that are going to help you produce more business, obviously, as you can see, but there are things too. We reward you with some travel if you want to do that, or iPads, cash, things like that as well. So we appreciate your business. We thank you for it, and we send you checks. So that's a great way to start a relationship with the new FMO. One of the reasons you should join us is we do have the best back office support in the industry. Most of our competitors would agree with that. What does that mean to you? That means that you do less and we do more of the things that you don't like to do. Calling companies and finding out what's holding up your business, calling carriers and find out what's holding up the money. Taking care of the little things that can make a lot of difference when you first send that app in, and make sure that it goes through as smoothly as possible, making sure that everything that is handled not only to the issue process but through the commission process. So once a case gets issued, that just pops up on our team's radar, so that now they're calling and saying, okay, we see that it's issued, we're going to get it paid. Does that help? Does that increase the speed with which you get paid? Most definitely. So I'm going to guarantee you that. Our guys tell us over and over again how valuable that is. And a lot of times companies communicate and they don't communicate very well. So they'll send you something, you're like, what the heck are they talking about? We take care of all that stuff for you. We're going to be your back office, and you're going to come to appreciate that more and more and more as you do business with us. One thing that you'll love too, for all of you out there that may not be aware of how we handle things when you call in, is that we do answer the phones live here. I will answer the phone. Charles will answer the phone. Everyone here knows that by answering the phone and taking care of your needs, we are building your business, and that in turn builds our business. We put a lot of emphasis on that here, and that will not change. Creative Marketing Solutions, they just built a new page on their website, so you can go on and look at our website and see what they do. But you can see right before you some of the things that they do. All I want you to know from this slide is that basically they're like an advertising firm for you. There's some things, a lot of things that they do for you pro bono, and there's a lot of things that we do just at cost for you. And the idea is pretty simple: help you promote your business, help you meet more clients, help you do a better job with your current clients. Your business gets better. That's better for everybody. So we're going to find ways to do as much as we can for you. And remember, they work with producers just like you all day long building their stuff. So a lot of stuff is pre-built and pre-done, and they have a really good idea of what helps you grow your business and how that should look. So they're going to take your input, you take their input, and they're going to come up with a really great product that's really, really easy for you to get up and rolling on. Whether it's a website, Facebook, letterhead, whatever you use to grow your business, they're going to help you. IAM's website's got some great stuff on there. The one thing that I see that a lot of people have not taken advantage of as much as they should is our IAM Sales Library. If you have not looked at the IAM Sales Library on the support tab of the website, I encourage you to go in. If you haven't looked at the website at all, I encourage you to get registered soon. You'll have our Firelight on there, so you can do EFs with all of our carriers right from our website, which will be really nice. Soon too, you'll begin to see your business pending information showing up on your website as well. So it's a great reason to go in and register. But do look at that IAM Sales Resource Library, which is on your support tab. If you haven't taken advantage of a software package like the Retirement Analyzer, I would encourage you to do that. Try it with a couple clients and see how it changes the relationship with the client. If you're very, one and done with clients, then you need something like the Retirement Analyzer. So you can look at the questions there as easily as I can read them off to tell you what kind of questions that Retirement Analyzer will answer. And look at the pictures there. You can see that it's very graphic. What I will say is that it's a much more comprehensive method of working with your clients that will keep you in front of them on a regular basis and talking about where they are in their retirement journey and helping be a part of that every step of the way. You and I both know that when you're part of that every step of the way, you're going to help your clients more, and you're going to become their number one resource. When you're their number one resource, there's all kinds of opportunity for new business, and that's the way that it's supposed to work. That's what we're here to do. IAMS Wealth Management, we just introduced the IAMS Wealth Management about 2 years ago, seeing great growth. We're up to about right at 60 million of assets under management for our group of guys. Most of the guys that do business with us on the IAMS Wealth Management side are guys that have primarily as their background insurance. So if you're looking for someone, a new RIA that maybe is a better fit for what you do and how you do it, you might want to consider IAMS. If you're not happy with your payouts, or maybe you're paying too high of fees, I would say that you might want to look at IAMS Wealth Management. If maybe you're not happy with the current service that you're getting from your current RIA, I would say you might want to consider IAMS Wealth Management. They're a great team to help you through the process. So if you don't already have a Series 65 and you want to gain one, we have discounts on the learning tools, and we can help you along that process. So again, if you're thinking about getting the Series 65 and you don't have it yet and you want some help with that, you might want to check yes on this poll and talk to someone at IAMS Wealth Management. So I'm going to close this poll out. I see a few of you have voted already, so I'm going to close it out here in just a moment. For those of you that have not voted, if you can quick vote for me on that one, by all means, if you have no interest in getting your Series 65, or if you haven't, you're currently happy with your current RIA, please put no on that. We won't bother you at all with that. On the other hand, if you need some help in some of these areas, maybe you're not happy with the fees that you're charged or the amount of the fees you're being paid. I will tell you one thing that surprises a lot of our guys. We have a little bit over a 1% payout to our guys, and that is not gridded, so everybody gets that 1%. We're not paying out 20 or 80 or 90% of that 1%. You get the full 1%. So keep that in mind. If you have interest, let us know. All of you have voted. Thank you for that. Well, everybody but one has voted. Thank you for that. I'm going to close that poll out because I do want to keep moving right along here today. 2-day trainings. Actually, you're going to be out of your office 3 days. Many of you are familiar and aware of our life and annuity academies. They become really relatively well recognized in the industry. If you're looking up to sales and marketing of your business, I would encourage you, if you haven't been to one of our academies, to consider that. We're going to take care of your expenses associated with, so your travel. We're going to take care of your hotel and your meals while you're there. Going to be a great 3 days out of your office. We'll fly you in on a Wednesday, fly you out on a Friday. There'll be really about 2 good solid full days of fairly intense training that you'll come to look back on and say, hey, that's something that changed the kind of the hierarchy of the way my business runs, kind of the trajectory of the way my business ran, because there's going to be some great ideas for you. I guarantee it. There's going to be some things you can put into practice that you can use to grow your business. I can guarantee that. And the only reason I can guarantee is that I've seen it over and over again. Everybody that leaves thanks us for their time, the time that we spent with them, thanks us for the opportunity. And the reason for that is that they've seen some really great stuff that they can use to grow their business. The biggest complaint that we get in writing and in as the guys and gals are walking out is that there's just too much information in too short a time. I want you to be prepared for that. With the good news is that we're going to give you a manual that you will leave with that's step by step, where you can make your notes and refer back to. You can highlight areas that you want to come back to, so that you can always come back and say, hey, I need more information on this. I didn't get all this. So you're going to hear from 4 top advisors, the way that they run their businesses, the way that they run seminars, the way they do radio, the way that they present particular products. It's all about sales and marketing. If you have interest in coming into an academy, by all means, put yes on this poll. If you've been to one, I would prefer that you put no and give me a call. I'll put my number up. Well, there it is right there before you, 800-255-5055. Actually, that should say 2019 dates. The next one is September 18th through the 20th. It will be in Des Moines. I see we have some questions popping up on that already. So we're going to be in Des Moines for the next one, September 18th through the 20th. If we squeeze another one in between there sometime in the late summer, we'll certainly add that in as well. When you hit yes on this poll, you're going to get an email, and the email will have a sample agenda, so you can see what we go through hour by hour and see if there might be some benefit to you. There's also a registration form. If you don't complete and return that registration form, we won't know that you have interest, and so we won't let you know when we have academies coming up. But if you do complete and return that registration form, we'll know you have interest, and we'll call you and let you know as dates become available. So again, check yes on that poll if you have interest. Thank you for checking no if you don't. We actually appreciate that as well. We don't want to bother you, and we don't want to take your time if you have no interest. But on the other hand, if you do, check yes on that poll, and I'm going to close that out here in about 30 seconds. One of the presenters there is the coach, Dave Pimper, who will be joining us shortly. He'll talk about Retirement Boss Radio. He'll also talk about his Social Security claiming seminars, both very successful and very producer-friendly programs. You can get in there and grow your business in a really a dynamic way. We'll hear from Matt Gill. He's got a seminar that specifically focuses on building wealth using indexed annuities, so a very, very focused and very strong seminar on indexed annuities. We have Anthony Lawrence. He talks about becoming your own banker. Then we have John Enting. He has very specific product sales opportunity that actually generates about as much interest as anything year after year after year in the academy. So if these things are of interest to you, growing your business, increasing your sales and marketing opportunities is of interest to you, check yes. And you better do it quick, because I'm going to close that poll out. Again, if for some reason you weren't able to vote, go ahead and give me a call here at the office, 800-255-5055. Just ask for me, Steve. I'll be glad, or ask for any sales director. Be glad to send you out a sample agenda and the registration form. With that, I'm going to close our poll out. Thank you all for voting so quickly on that. Let's keep moving here. So the Ritz-Carlton is the location for our next Top Producers Escape. That is actually going to take place here in August. Qualification ends in June. We'll be starting qualification for our next location July 1. So keep that in mind as well. I know we've got some folks on here on the cusp of qualification here today. Anything that we can do to help you get over that hump, get over the 3 million point hump, by all means call and talk to your sales director. We want you there with your guests. It's going to be a great time. We're going to have some great fun on the beach. We'll do Naples is a beautiful area. That Ritz is luxurious and a great place to spend some time with the guest. And by the way, that does include you and your guests. So we'd love to have you join us there. All right. Tried to get through that as quick as I can. I didn't do as good a job as I'd like. Dave, are you with us this morning?
Absolutely, I am.
Thank you, Dave. I was slower than I intended to be. I appreciate that. You getting on for me. I was going as quick as I can because I really wanted to get required minimum distributions. I think it's good for you all to know, for those of you that don't already know a little bit about Dave. So Dave is the president of Coaching. He's also the president of his own advisement firm as part of a Calton is his broker dealer, and he's an IAR as well as securities licensed. He does a good portion of his business in the insurance marketplace, mostly with fixed indexed annuities and fixed annuities, but still the better part of his business is in the securities realm. So for those of you that out there that wondering how this might apply to both insurance and securities business, I think you'll find that it applies very well. RMDs it's a great subject matter, as I mentioned at the outgo of this particular webinar. I think you'll find some great information here with Dave. He's in the business since the early 80s. Up to probably over 500 seminars of it in the radio business. What I like about Dave more than anything else is he's a great coach. He's helped many of our producers, and he's also a regular producer himself, which I think is the part that makes him so good at the coaching business. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the coach, Mr. Dave Pimper.
Steve, thanks a lot. And thank you, everybody, for taking some time here on Tuesday morning. Nebraska, it's been raining. I mean, I'm tired of it raining, but it's going to rain some good information today talking about RMDs, required minimum distributions. So there's a lot to this. It's a complicated subject, and I'm going to try to make it simple. We're going to hit on the high points. If you have any questions, certainly go in, and you can certainly go on in and type it in, and then we will answer those questions here at the end. So let's kind of start. So RMDs. So the government goes and says, hey, we're going to give you a break on traditional retirement accounts, meaning 401ks, 403bs, 457s, SEP simples, HRs, IRAs. I mean, all of the different kind of traditional plans, they give you a tax break going in. They give you a break of letting that money to defer all the way through. And then at 70 and a half, they say, hey, we want a little bit of a payback on this now. And they start taking a percentage of your valuation of your RMDs that you've got to take out of your retirement plan and put into a non-retirement account, which is a taxable event, which puts money in the taxation pocket of the U.S. government. They also want that money to go back into circulation. Most of it is not reinvested. We certainly reinvest some of our folks, but a lot of it goes back in and is used for different consumptions, within the economy. So what happens is that starting after your client or you turn the age of 70 and a half, that's when RMDs are required to be taken. So here's the two things I think that are important. How do you figure up your RMD? Well, you got to go in and look at what your retirement accounts are. Let's say they're all in an IRA, what the retirement accounts are. You will take the valuation, say it's $100,000 on December the 31st of 2018. Your RMD is taken from that figure. It has to be paid out 365 days later by December the 31st of 2019. And which we're going to go over here just shortly, but what happens is that if you don't take money out in that time period, the penalty is one of the worst in the financial industry. If you're supposed to take out, say, just for example, $5,000, you'll owe a penalty of $2,500 if you're 1 day late. You take it out January 1 instead of December the 31st. So what happens is you want to do this on time for your client. Okay, it's very, very important. There's a lot of regulations when it comes to required minimum distributions. So you've got that traditional IRA owner. You go in. Actually, it's always done from December 31st the year before, and then you have to pay for the December 31st the year after, with the exception of the first year. The first year in your RMD can be taken out on April the 1st. That's the only time you can do it. They give you a break of 3 months. Most people don't want to do that because then you have to still take out the next year by December 31st of the year before. So if you do it like this, you're going to have 2 distributions taxable within the same year. But you do have a little bit of leeway that first year. Nothing after that. So how do you figure out of how much you owe, what percentage, or how much you owe? It's the account balance as of December 31st, the prior year. And then it's called a life expectancy factor. So what the heck is a life expectancy factor? Well, there's a divisor. So just to give you an idea, at the age of 70, which is the 70th and a half, let's say that you've got $100,000 and you divide that by the divisor of 27.4, up in the upper left hand there. So that comes out to 3.65%. So the first year, you got to take out about 3.65%. Okay? Then by the fourth year, you're taking out 4%. 5, 6 years later, you're taking out 5%. And all of a sudden, 3, 4 years later, you're taking out 6%. Like my mom, yeah, she's 95 years of age. She has to go in and she has to take out, she has to go out in the factor gets more and more and more and more. So if you kind of divide this on out, and I'll say this again, what happens is that you go at 6%. She has to take out over $6,000 from her IRA on a yearly basis. And if she lives to 100, yeah, then it's actually she has to take out over 8%. Over 8% at the age of 95. At 6%, it's at the age of 83. So she's taking out over like $8,600 per 100,000 at the age of 95. And at the age of 100, what happens is that it goes in and the percentage is even more. So what happens is that it gets very, very, it just keeps going up and up and up and up, and they use a uniform lifetime table to be able to go in and do that. So let's go in and kind of look at some specific rules. It says distributions from a qualified company plan and traditional IRAs must generally begin at the age of 7.5. The reason it says generally, remember, if you work for a company that has a 401k and you continue to work for them, you don't have to go in and make out an RMD. Wild to an 84-year-old guy and it's his fourth wife. She was 72. It's her second husband. She's in extremely good shape. He's in pretty average shape. But he worked for his company until last year. It was part-time on a 401k, but he never had to take an RMD out. It kept growing. Now that he isn't working for him, he has to. That's only what 401ks. IRAs are not that way. So what happens is at 70 and a half, yeah, you've got to go in and you got to start taking those contributions. Now, what happens is that, and I'll go into this because we already covered that, but it's important that with an IRA, you can lump sum together all of your IRAs to figure out the total amount. Let's say you got 5 IRAs at $20,000 each. That's $100,000. With an individual retirement account, you can go and take all of it out of 1, or 2, or 3, or 4, or 5. Any percentage. It's extremely flexible. On 401ks, you cannot do that. Dormant 401ks, you cannot do that. You have to go in and take out if you have 3 dormant 401ks, so let's say you won't have this, but let's say you have 5 dormant 401ks, 2020, 2020, you got to go in and take your percentage out of each and every single one of those. Pretty interesting. Remember, the great thing about Roth, and I'm a big believer of Roth conversions right now, because I think tax rates are some of the lowest that they're going to be in quite a few years. But with Roth conversions, what happens in Roths, there is no required minimum distribution for the principal owner and or if they're married, when they die, the spouse. There is required minimum distributions if it's given to the children that both the husband and wife are deceased, but of course they're all tax-free. Yeah. So remember, you can't take an IRA RMD from your 401k or a 401k RMD from your IRA. It just doesn't work that way. All right? We talked about the penalties on the highest imposed by IRS of that 50% if you don't take out in time. Now, what happens is that people, if you're trying to go in and lessen what your RMD is, one is if you've got a 401k and you're working, my gosh, if you work from the age of say above 70, you could go in and not take, from that company plan. Do most people want to work longer than that? No, they don't, but it may be one of the ways. Also, what happens is that you could try converting to non-taxable accounts, tax deferred through fixed index, fixed annuities, tax-free through municipal bonds, and the more non-reportable income you have, the lesser your brackets are for taxation. There's something called a QLAC, Qualified Longevity Annuity Contract. This came out a couple, 3 years ago. Came out at 125,000, 25 earlier. That has gone up to 130,000, 25%. But this is for someone who doesn't want to pay, doesn't want to go in and take RMDs or all their RMDs out of their account. So let's say it's at 100,000 again. You could take 25,000, 25% of it, or 130,000, whichever is less. And 25% is less, of course. You could go on in and you could go and take from that IRA and not pay any RMDs on that. It grows at a stated amount by the insurance company. You can do illustrations on it. IAMS has those, but it delays it, and it can be as late as up to the age of 85. So it isn't that you're eliminating the tax. You're eliminating the required minimum distributions, but you're eliminating the taxation now and deferring it until the longest you can wait right now is to the age of 85, which is 14 and a half years from 70 and a half. So what happens, it's something that you might want to take a look at, because if the person's in a high tax bracket, has a lot of money in their qualified retirement plans, this could be something that could be of great interest. to your client called a QLAC, Qualified Longevity Annuity Contract. Okay? So with RMDs, just know that there's always a spousal privilege, one of the benefits of being married. So let's say there's $100,000, the value, and let's say that the husband is as of the age of, say he's 73 and dies. Say the wife is 68. She inherits it as if it's her own. And now what happens is that she'll be taking required minimum distributions not until she's 70 and a half. So they were taking RMDs, but now they're not because she's 68 years of age. What happens is that you may, if the husband, say the wife dies first, she's 67, and the husband is 70 and a half, you may want to go in and kind of rethink of how do you want to inherit that at the higher age? Do you want to have it paid out? So there is some negotiation. There is some kind of some thought process that how do I go in and take the least amount of income, if I have to take income, from a required minimum distribution from the death of an owner. Children can go in and inherit that over their life expectancy. So if you've got 100,000, you got twin boys, John and Jerry. John needs the money. He cashes out 50,000 of it, pays taxes on it. The other son, he's done well financially, doesn't need the money. He's at the age of 60 years of age. He all of a sudden says, "Hey, I want to inherit that." It will continue the tax deferral. He has to take out off the uniform table, life table, from his age, over the age of 60. So he may have to take out maybe only 2.5% or 2.25%. So those are things you're looking from when there's a survivor, from that. Okay. Converting money, and again, I'm just kind of surmising here a little bit, but Roth conversions, and we have an IAMS webinar series on Roth conversions. I truly think right now it's one of the best times that we've had to Roth convert, meaning you're taking money out of a traditional account and you're converting it into a tax-free Roth account. Now, if your income tax bracket's low, doesn't make a difference. But if it's medium or high, it could make a big difference, because from the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act that came into effect on January 1 of 2018, all those benefits and lowering of brackets and the higher standard deduction, that all sunsets out in the year of 2026. Not the corporate help of that bracket going down, but from the personal standpoint. So I'm telling people right now, if they've got money that they can convert or partially convert, it may be a good time to do it. So think about tax-free always beats tax-deferred. Always beats tax-deferred. So you kind of want to keep that in mind. So transfer in kind, not all, but there are annuity companies that will. There's certainly fund companies that will. You can normally do it from a brokerage account. Tougher if it's in a 401k. It's tougher to inherit out of a 401k also, just to let you know. It's more stringent than it is in an IRA. But let's say you have XYZ fixed indexed annuity. You got 100,000, and you want to go from going from a tax-free to a taxable account. You can ask. Not all companies will do it. Well, will they take their money and go from a tax-deferred to an after-tax account where you're just transferring monies over? Might be able to do that. Probably it's more prevalent when you look at mutual funds, but you're transferring in kind. It's still a taxable event. It still goes in and takes care of your RMD, but you don't have to go in and buy a brand new investment with that. Or it doesn't have to go into your checking account with that. Remember I talked about surviving spouses, and I kind of jumped the gun on that a little bit, but this gets really complicated. But I'll just let you know, most surviving spouses can take that investment over as the inherited beneficiary. And so if they are over 70.5, they are going to have to take distributions of RMDs. If they're not, then that is not going to come into play a rule. We talked about you can aggregate traditional IRAs and take it out of one or all, or you can go in from a 401k standpoint and they're calculated separately. Okay, calculated separately. So, and there are some exceptions to it, which I am not, it gets very, very complicated. But, you know, the big thing here is with required minimum distributions, there are some really good books out there talking about RMDs. One of those books, Ed Slott's got one called The Retirement Savings Time Bomb and How to Diffuse It. It has a very good section on required minimum distributions. In fact, that book does a very good job of going really through the entirety of not just RMDs, but Roth conversions, beneficiaries, in-service non-hardship withdrawals. I would certainly recommend you pick that book up and learn that cover to cover. If this isn't really kind of common hat to you of going through this information. Now, my background, yeah, I just finished my 500th public seminar, so that's a lot, but I've been doing them from the mid-'80s. I started in 1981, but I try to have a complicated subject and make it simple. We have a seminar that revolves around 401k and IRA rollovers, that we talk about all those that I just talked about. We talk about Roth conversions. We talk about required minimum distributions. And we also have Social Security workshops. So what happens with Social Security workshops, no meals are served. We've been finding that it's much more lucrative to have a meal with some types of workshops like the 401k IRA rollover workshop. But I've got 3 administrators, Lynn, Amy, and Lori, and they're here to help from the seminar marketing side. So if you, and I'll mention just a couple other things too, and Steve mentioned it also, but I like marketing. I've done it for a long, long time. I really, really enjoy helping people to increase their production. So I do a lot of coaching on seminar marketing, sales process marketing, radio host marketing. Like this is brand new. It's in the last 2.5, 3 months, but it's called Retirement Boss Radio. Take charge of your money. And I do an hour radio show on a KFAB station in Omaha, which is a Rush Limbaugh station, AM, big station, 50,000 watt station. We've got about 6 or 7 cities now that we've got Retirement Boss Radio in. And I'll tell you something, we have a turnkey system, but you'll find that the cost is in line with what seminar marketing can be. So whether it be required minimum distributions, whether it be seminar marketing, radio marketing, if you've got an interest, and we'll bring up a slide here just in a sec, but certainly mark yes on the poll. I have to say, procrastination is my sin. It brings me constant sorrow. I really shouldn't practice it. Perhaps I'll stop. You know, it never comes, does it? And the reason I bring that procrastination slide is I really have known no one who has been highly successful and been a big procrastinator. I love the Nike slogan, just do it. Yeah, just do it. If you heard something today that you thought might be able to help you in your practice, yeah, mark yes. And we'll get a hold of you, IAMS or myself. Our office will get a hold of you. And but no, all the knowledge in the world does not make us any money. That's why scientists, accountants, CPAs, lawyers, doctors, very, very left brain folks normally aren't good salespeople. It's more right brain. But you know what happens is, knowing everything about RMDs, it may make you a better advisor, but it doesn't make you any more money. Knowing a lot about RMDs and getting in front of a whole bunch of folks through marketing, there you go. That's how successful people operate. So having knowledge is extremely important to be good at what you do. But you know what? What happens if you're a doctor and have nobody to perform surgery on? Yeah, they're not financially successful. So our business with IAMS and with Dave Pimper as coach, we want to give you good information. We want to arm yourself with knowledge, but knowledge alone will not make you money. But knowledge, by getting in front of a lot of folks, qualified people through seminar marketing, radio marketing, then all of a sudden that makes a big, big difference. So Steve, I will turn this over to you, and we can kind of answer any questions there are, and we'll finish out the webinar.
Dave, I had mentioned at the outset a little bit about the Retirement Savers Act, and so there's been 3 or 4 questions about that. Now, I know that has passed the Senate and not yet the House, so I don't think it's enacted into law.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, they did
It's
a change to.
It's going to be.
Yeah, I think
it's going to pass. It is. So, Steve probably, maybe I didn't hear that, but Steve probably said that they're looking at raising it from 70.5 to 72. You know what, Steve? Why aren't they raising it to 72.25 or 72.5? Jiminy Christmas.
Good question.
Yeah, that's right. But that helps. That helps. So, and you know why? But people are working longer, and there's a lot of phased retirements now where people are not working their full-time job, but working a part-time, easier job, maybe less stressful job. We didn't see that 20 years ago. And you've been in the business for almost as long as I have. We didn't see that 20, 25, 30, 35 years ago. So I think that's in the right direction, and I truly do believe there's no reason. I think that has both side aisles are for that. I think it's a very good law if it comes into effect.
Yeah, there's really no downside to it. And they also mentioned in that same act a little bit about the benefits of annuities, and I think you'll start seeing them get more mainstreamed. So there's a lot of good things about that act. And so the question was, why would they make that change, and do we consider that a good thing? So I would say they would make that change for good reason, to give people more chance to maintain savings retirement, because there just aren't as many places that they can look for retirement income now. So if they can delay as much as they can and take it when they need it later, that's good. The question of QLEX came up, Dave, as they apply to RMDs. Do you want to talk a little bit about QLEX, a little bit more about QLEX?
Sure. So, Steve, what do you think? Are there 2 or 3 companies that have made kind of a niche? Do you think that you have available on your platform for QLEX?
That I know of, there are 3 companies that have a decent qualified longevity annuity contract out there, and frankly, none of them are that good, but they do.
Right. Well, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, you know what? So this isn't, you know what, the government love this. See, what the government's trying to do is, because there's not nearly as many pensions now, that's why something like a QLEX, that's why something like raising RMDs from 70.5 to 72, they're looking at ways to go in and to help the consumer. You know, Steve, when the government goes from 70.5 to 72, look at the gazillions of dollars, the billions of dollars that aren't coming in between 70.5 and 72 for the government. So it hurts the government, but it helps us. But they're trying to go in and make it easier to pay less taxes and to invest, because pensions aren't very prevalent right now. And so and I don't think it stopped. I think you'll see more and more kind of the consumerism of letting individuals have more flexibility. And one of it is not paying taxes. One of it is not being forced. I don't like much that is forced by the government, personally. They're having more flexibility. QLEX, you know, Stephen, and again, what they'll do is they'll go out and that money that comes out, let's say, I think it's like $520,000. So if you have $520,000 in a retirement plan, you take 25% of that, or it is $130,000. So that $130,000, you can go in and the person that asked, lady, what happens is you're taking that $130,000 and you're taking that out of the $520,000. So if you do the math on that, you got 520 minus 130 equals 390,000. Only 390,000 do you have to take an RMD out from. The other the other 130,000 is put into an insurance contract that pays, and Steve, make sure I'm saying this right, but it's a stated amount. You can do a hypothetical, and you should be extremely close of where you are this year, next year, because that interest rate does not change. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. Yeah. So, and it's not. It might be. I don't know. Maybe it's 2-3%, something like that.
Yeah, it's low. That's the problem. But
Yeah.
and the
Yeah.
payouts
But
factors aren't great. But
so yeah, that's right. So what happens is the guarantee is average or below average. Payouts are below average or average. But what happens is the deferral of not paying taxes on 130,000. That's big.
mm-hmm.
That's big. So it has to be someone who has a fairly large retirement account, is in a fairly high tax bracket, and just wants to defer. And it is worth something at the end. And you know what?
Oh, absolutely.
We poo-poo 2-3%, but you know what? That's still, look at the 10-year Treasury is only a little over 2%.
Don't remind me.
Yeah, and the reason Steve says that because he'd like to have that a little higher, so there's higher rates with fixed index and with fixed. But anyway, so what happens though? The reason I like to show it to somebody or show it in a seminar or mention it on radio is there's a lot of folks that are taking RMDs that don't want to, so they're thinking, hey, so even if they come in and it's not the product for them, now you're in front of them. Now you can go in and dissect what they have for their others. So it's not bait and switch. It's a real product. It can be an absolute benefit, but the big thing here is they come in and now you're able to look at their whole portfolio, which of course we can help them through that and we can be compensated for that hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives you, and I know that the radio show you talk about QLACs and Roth conversions and RMDs and non-hardship withdrawals. These are all things that whether
hot topics.
Yeah, they're really hot topics and things that people are very interested in and want to talk to you about. So that's really the value of having the knowledge around these subject matters, is that you can gain new prospects, be more valuable to your clients by having information on the things that are really, really important to them. As I said at the outset, there aren't a lot of financial decisions that have a hard deadline on them like RMDs. So it's a great subject matter. So, and I know you've got a seminar where you talk about qualified funds. And I know all those things come up there as well. And again, that's one of the reasons a lot of people make an appointment with you. So,
yeah, no, that's exactly right. Yeah.
So I think we're out of questions. I think everybody has voted on the poll. Thank you for that, by the way. We've got good interest in RMDs. We'll get back to everyone on that. I know that there are a couple questions that have come up on radio here, Dave. So I'm going to refer those to you as well. Suffice it to say, at least from the big picture standpoint, the radio is something that anyone can do. There is some expense involved. It's similar, as Dave would tell you, to an expensive seminar on a monthly basis. And it, in terms of prospects, Dave is getting what would you say right now, Dave? You're still at the 2 to 3 a week that you're getting from your radio?
Yeah. We started out, we were getting probably 2.5 to 3 appointments per week. Like this last week, we got 2 appointments. I would say we're averaging just over 2 appointments per week right now. So if we can go in with the same kind of cost that a seminar is, and we're getting 10 to 12 appointments, set appointments by the call center in a month's time, I call that a beautiful thing because I'm in front of people. And, of course, Steve, and we're going to be rolling out also, we don't have time now to quite talk about it, but we're rolling out an extremely competitive seminar system that's probably 60% of the cost of the old way we were doing it before. I tested it twice. I got 10 appointments last month. I got 11 appointments this month. And so our goal here at IAMS, and I'll tell you what, I don't work for IAMS. I'm a coach, but I run my production through IAMS. But as coaching for IAMS, what we're trying to do is give our producers a way to really go in, maximize their time of each and every day by getting in front of face-to-face people, finding marketing systems that are not just good, but that are competitive price. And that's what we've been able to do. And you know what? That's one of the unique things I think of the FMO, maybe some other FMOs, is that marketing has truly been a mainstay for IAMS for their producers.
Thank you, Dave. Yes, that's helping the producers grow their business has been the secret to our success for just almost 32 years now. And so that's our recipe for success, and we're going to keep doing that. And that's why we appreciate folks like you being willing to take some time and make the effort to help our guys better understand subject matter that can help them grow their business. So very, very much appreciated. I wanted to close out by, I'm going to close that poll up, by the way. I'm going to close out by thanking you all for joining us today. I know Tuesday morning, sometimes that can be a pretty good time for you to be doing other things to help grow your business. So I appreciate the fact that you've taken some time to join us and learn a little bit more about some ways to help your clients and grow your business. So whatever we can do to help you here at IAMS, please give us a call, 800-255-5055. Those of you that indicated interest in some area will be in touch with you quickly. If any of you have any questions or something that we can help you with, I hope you'll give us a call here at the office. Again, that's 800-255-5055. Finally, Dave, thank you. I know you had a busy day. You've been traveling the country and doing a lot of things. So I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule.
Oh, absolutely. You bet.
Everybody have a great day. Great finish to your sales week.
Okay. You bet. Happy selling. Bye-bye.